Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our anniversary share fair. It's a bit difficult to believe that it's been 2 years since we started. I know that COVID has been a nightmare for most of us, but every now and again something good has come out of it. And for me, this has been one of those silver linings. I've had an incredible time getting to know all our very talented presenters and getting the feedback and the enjoyment from everybody that watches as well. So for me, that's been one of the good things that's come out of COVID. What we're doing this time is for our second anniversary, we're focusing on the twos. So we're all going to be showing you either one card using two different stamp sets or one stamp set making two different cards. So let's get going. I'm going to show you what card I'm going to do. So this one is going to be my sample card. It's not the one that I'm demonstrating to you. And it's now I need to see how I can get this that you can see it with the camera. So it's a faux step card. So it stands like that. Can I get it at an angle? You're getting it from the top, so it's a little bit difficult. So it's going to stand like that. And for this one, I've used the Dress to Impress stamp set. Now, I'll tell you just a little quick story about Dress to Impress. That was the stamp set that I chose for the very first share fair. When we got to the second one and I chose my stamp set, I picked Dress to Impress, forgetting that I'd already done it. And it was only when I was making the card and I saw what my previous card had been, I went, oops, we've used the same stamp set. And that was pure coincidence. When I got to the next one, I sort of thought and went, okay, well, this is now going to become my thing. Every year for our anniversary, I'm going to use Dress to Impress. And of course, this year they decided to retire it. So this is the last time you're going to see Dress to Impress from me. I know that it is sold out in Australia. I'm not sure about the other markets. But if you still want it and you can still get it, it is a great stamp set for making girly cards. So we decided to go to the other end of the spectrum for this one. And the card that I'm going to show you is our more masculine version. So it's that same fold, but we're using the Let's Set Sail with the Sailboat Builder Punch. And like I said in my intro video, this was very strange for me because it has very, very few items that I need to use. Normally I use half the catalogue, but there's very little, and as you'll see, very little stamping on this. So for me, this designer series paper is absolutely beautiful. I can't stop using it, and it makes absolutely wonderful cards. So for this one, I'm going to be using those two pieces. This one has that sort of pink and purple on the back, and that one's got plain blue on the back, but you can see the blues are different, so I've just used the two sides for a bit of texture. And all the measurements for this card are going to be in my post, so you'll be able to get them. So let's get scoring, and I will show you what we're doing. So I'm starting off with, let's move that one out of the way for the minute. So I'm starting off with this back piece over here, which sort of forms that border of the card. And we're going to score that at 3 centimeters. 3 centimeters, 6 centimeters, and 15 centimeters, which if you're working in inches is going to be 1 1/4, 2 1/2, and 5 3/4. And before I put my scoring tool away, I'm going to just take my big piece, which is for the top. This is your full length of paper, and I'm scoring that in half, so it would be 14.9 centimeters or 5 1/2 inches if you're working in inches. And that is all of our scoring done. Now, let me do the stamping, and then we're going to start assembling. Now, my latest obsession is little birds flying everywhere. I don't know why, but I'm just obsessed with the little birds everywhere. And we've got a few stamp sets that have birds, so it's really exciting. And for me, the birds just finish everything off. So this, let's just pull out. So that's the stamp set. It's the late set sale stamp set, and you can see it's also got those little birds floating around. So just make sure that I have my birds flying the right way. We don't want upside down birds. And I'm just going to stamp a few birds. And what I have already done is I've stamped my sentiment and heat embossed that. So that's done in advance, but you don't need to watch me heat embossing. My birds are done, so we're ready to assemble. I just needed to grab my bone folder, which was on the other side of the table, because we're definitely going to need that. Okay, so that's my top piece, which we're just folding in half. And then my sort of base card, for lack of a better word for this piece, we're folding in half here. And then we're going to accordion fold the stamp. Okay, so just backwards and forwards. So you can see, oh, it's so hard when it's on camera. So it makes that kind of a shape. And now all that we need to do is assemble. So I'm going to stick this piece, if my glue decides it wants to come out. Okay, so I have thousands of bottles of glue around me. One of them will work. Okay, so that's going into your back piece over there. I've then got, and this piece here, just to have it slightly different from that one, I'm using just a strip that was cut off from the back of the DSP that I used to cut that seam from. Let's not stick it that way because we actually want the blue up. If you wanted that side up, you could have it, but I'm going with the blue so that it, I picked up the wrong glue again, the one that didn't want to work. Right, we'll put that one far out of the way so that I don't grab it next time. Remember, there's no rules here. It's whichever way up you think that the DSP works best for you. And then we're going to stick my seam onto the front. Now, like I said, for this card, I've done it all with very little stamping. I just wanted the silhouette of that sailboat rather than having it stamped. Here we go. I've got a piece of just black cardstock and we're going to punch it out. Now, I'm going to actually stick this on because then I can see where to position my sentiment, and then I'll position the sailboat around that. But before we do that, let's just stick my insert in. So Something must have fallen because I did have a little piece of DSP that was supposed to go on the inside, but no problem. We'll just quickly cut a piece. So I just want this pretty narrow, so I'm going to do it 1 centimeter, which is going to be it's about 3/8 of an inch, and 10 centimeters across. As soon as I'm finished, I will find the piece of DSP that I had. Alright. And we're going to just, you should know by now that I always like something on the inside of my card. So we'll just have that along the bottom. Stick that inside. And you can stick this afterwards, but I just find it's easier to do it before you've stuck the top piece on, just because then you've actually got this piece that's lying flat. Oops. And as long as it doesn't stick to your fingers, it's all good. Alright, so now what I do is I'm going to take some glue and put it on the bottom edge of that front piece. And then not getting too hung up about it, but just trying to eyeball roughly where the middle is. It doesn't have to be 100% exact, just kind of. Okay, we're sticking that then along the bottom edge. Oops, I thought it needed to shift slightly and then it shifted too much. And then we're doing the same on the back. Bit of glue along that bottom edge, and that's gluing onto the back. There we go. Now we can stick my sentiment on, and I'm just going to cut the edges at an angle. And like I say, you could do this afterwards, but it just works better in my head if I've stuck this first, then I can see exactly where I want my little sailboat to sit. We'll stick that on over there and try and get it somewhat straight. And then I guess it doesn't really matter which side is which. There's not a definite front side and a back side, so you can have it sailing off in either direction. When you've just punched it out of paper, that's a little bit more difficult if you've stamped it. But I'm going to stick my sailboat down there. And then we're going with this sail. And the other one. Now with the second sail, I'm just making sure that I don't put glue all the way to the bottom edge there, because that could hang over. I'm not sure here whether it's going to or not, but you can see on this card it's over the edge slightly, so we just don't want glue there that it's actually going to stick it down. And even though this is a masculine card, it can have a little bit of bling. So these are the polished dots, and I'm using the clear ones. I'm not sure whether they're supposed to be very vanilla, but to me they look clear. So and then the ones that are a little bit colored. Oops, I don't know where that one ran away to. We'll just, and one up in the sky with the birds, I think. Why do they keep hiding away from me? Come on, Dot, you want to sit over there. Right, so there's our two cards, and you can see even though I've used the same piece of DSP here, just because it's cut from different pieces in the paper, it will give you a slightly different effect. Now, I haven't used any of the stamps here, but I just wanted to quickly show you a tip for if you're using the sails. And this is only going to work when you're stamping the sails and you're actually stamping both sails in the same color. All right, so just making sure, right, that's the right way. So once you've punched one out, keep the skeleton from your punch, and then take your stamps and putting them that you've got your stamping side down, just fit them inside that cutout. Now, most times you would actually be doing possibly both sails one color, and you would be doing your boat bit another color. So that's why I'm not putting the boat in there right just yet. I'm only doing this with the sails. And then you're going to take your block and put it down over. And hang on, here we've got some white cardstock. Yep, that'll be big enough. If I now stamp my sails, and it doesn't matter which way you stamp them, you may just have to turn it around. And yes, of course, I should have stamped it on the other side of the paper, but that's all right. And you then slot it into your punch, as long as you've cut enough off the one side of your stamp. It should fit in that your sails are in the exact right place. For you to punch them. Okay, so instead of having to fiddle around with one at a time, and I didn't position this very well as I cut it, but as I punched it, I think it slipped. So, but you can see that if you position it like that, you're going to get it that you can punch them exactly, instead of having one sail at a time and then trying to fiddle it into the punch. All right, so those are my cards for today. That's our masculine one, and our very sad goodbye to Dress to Impress. Now, our show special for this time is we've got a tutorial for you, and it's a mix of all different stamp sets, all different cards. It's easy cards that you can just look at it, get the measurements, and put your cards together. So place an order of 22 whatever currency you're in, whether it's Australian dollars, US dollars, Canadian dollars, pounds. It's $22 for our second anniversary, and you'll get that PDF tutorial. We are going to be moving to a new group for the new catalogue. So soon after this share fair, probably within the next week, your demonstrator will start inviting you to join the next group. So please accept that invitation so that you are in that group and ready for the next one, which is going to be in July. Yeah, so I hope that you enjoy the rest of it. Please let us know what you've liked over the last 2 years. We always love getting feedback from you. And Annette will be up at 10:30, which is in 9 minutes' time in my time zone. Well, in everybody's time zone, it's 10:30 my time. And I'll be back when we're ready to sign off from Australia. So enjoy the rest of the share fair and enjoy the rest of your day. I'll speak to you later. Bye.